So you want to be a registered dietitian? You are in the right place. My name is Jenny Westerkamp, founder of All Access Dietetics, and your host for Dear Future Dietitian, a podcast dedicated to helping you feel more confident in every step of your journey towards that RD credential. Thank you for being here and taking the time to listen to this episode and investing in yourself and your future career. I can already tell you're going to be a rockstar dietitian. Now let's get into it.
Hello, past class. It's Zach, and I'm back with another lesson today. And today we're going to be focusing on 5 practice questions together. I figured I'd pick a random set of past exam preps, great practice questions, and I figured that we could go through 5 questions together, talk through them. I can give you some kind of ideas about how I would work through these questions if I were to encounter them on the exam. So let's get into it. Again, as we go through each question, you need to have a good strategy of some kind, whether you're eliminating bad answers, highlighting the good things, picking keywords and writing them to the side. You need to have a strategy that's good for you. I'm going to show you mine today. Which of the following would result in protein precipitation? All right, well, I know that protein precipitation is probably a keyword here, and I'm going to write about A, B, C, and D to the side. All right, what is this protein precipitation thing? Well, if I didn't really know, I'd probably think it kind of sounds a little bit like coagulation to me. Kind of what it sounds like. It kind of sounds like if we're talking about milk or something like that it's not staying as like liquid milk, if you know what I mean. It's kind of clumping up a little bit when things coagulate like our blood, right? So that's what I need to be thinking about as I go through this. Which one of these is going to cause that? For A, I have adding milk to vinegar. So that'd be like just saying I have a big glass of vinegar and I'm going to drop in a little bit of milk into that big glass of vinegar. And I think what's going to happen if I do that is I get the feeling that the milk is going to be a little bit overwhelmed by that vinegar. And we know that when we mix an acid with milk, things start to break down or they start to coagulate. So I'm going to hold on to A there. I think that might be a good fit. Let's talk B now. Adding milk to baking soda. Well, that'd be like adding milk, which is relatively neutral, to baking soda, which is a base. So it's probably not going to end up with much coagulation in that case. I'm going to go ahead and X that one out. I think it's just a throwaway. Baking soda doesn't do a lot unless we're talking about other things, but not usually milk. Adding vinegar to milk. So let's reverse that scenario. Okay, let's put the milk here. We're going to drop in vinegar into this. Well, why I think we could still have some coagulation there. I don't think it's going to be to the extent of A. And I think that's because there's probably going to seem like that the milk is going to be kind of the overarching thing, and then the vinegar is going to go into it. And I think that when we're adding the vinegar into it, we're not really going to have that same coagulation as we would have if it was vice versa. I'm going to eliminate C because of that. Then I'm on to D, adding baking soda to milk. Just like B, it's kind of more just adding a base to a neutral compound, not a good fit. So that makes A as our best answer here, that if I add the milk to a glass of vinegar, and even if you think if it's a 1-to-1 ratio, that milk is going to turn real quick because even that big first amount that we put in is just overwhelmed by the amount of vinegar that's settled in there. So that's going to be our best answer, certainly. Which of the following is an advantage of using surveys to answer a research question? Well, I always say I need a good example if I'm going to refer to this. So what's a research question? I can tell you what my thesis was, for example. In my research question for my thesis, just to give you an idea of how it's a little different than a hypothesis, is will college students learn better with videos? Essentially, it was just if they watch cooking videos versus just reading a recipe card, will they learn, or they will be better at cooking, basically. Will they learn better? Sounds really smart, right? All right, so I'm going to think of that as I go through each one of these answers, that which of the following is going to be an advantage, okay? An advantage being a positive thing, yes? Looking at A, survey results may be affected by non-response bias. And I think non-response bias is just when no response basically goes into there. Now, off the top, I can't really tell you if that applies directly to surveys. One thing I can tell you is I don't think that would be an advantage to a survey. Kind of seems like bias is usually a bad thing. I'm going to go and X that one out. Looking at B, surveys are an efficient way to collect data on large populations. That is certainly true. Surveys are a good way to do that with, so at least that's a true statement. Let's see if it's the best fit. We were talking about advantage of surveys up here, so we're looking at some type of positive. Survey questions may be interpreted differently by different respondents. Again, that's kind of got a negative connotation to me, and that's not an advantage of it. That'd be a bad thing. We need consistency, so I'm going to eliminate that. And then D, surveys are not affected by social desirability bias. Now, again, we're talking something that's negative here as a bias, so that's going to be a bad fit because of that. That's going to make B my best answer here as being a good advantage for large populations. And I can certainly say with my thesis, absolutely, surveys were the way to go to make it easy and to reach out to a large population of students. Okay, if you're moving through the test, this is a good moment to give yourself like 10 seconds to rest a little bit, rest your brain, work through. On the next 3, I'm going to try to give you a little more time to maybe work on this on your own, and then I'm going to dive into my explanation. Which food handling technique can be used to prevent cross-contamination and time temperature abuse of cold salads containing TCS ingredients? Okay. All right. So why don't you take about 30 seconds to read through those answers, and then we're going to kind of walk through it together. Okay. All right. Hopefully you've gotten a good chance to go through. So I'm going to walk through my strategy here. All right, so TCS foods, I'm thinking like kind of more of like raw ingredients, kind of like eggs, milk, meats, stuff like that. And I need to focus on something that helps with the cross-contamination and the time temperature control. So let's think of things that would help with that. For A, prepare food in large batches. Already, I don't like that answer because I think when I prepare stuff in very large batches, they're going to be big, thick. It's going to take a long time to basically cool the inside of that area. So I would go ahead and I'm going to X that one out because I just don't think it's a fit. It's not going to help prevent cross-contamination at all because it's just talking about preparing food in large batches. Store leftover ingredients for no more than 10 days at 45 degrees Fahrenheit or lower. I am not sure about that, to be honest with you. I'm going to put a question mark because 10 days feels long to me, and 45 even seems kind of high for some of the TCS foods. I just don't really feel one way or another. I'd rather come back to it if I need to. Prepare food separate from raw produce. Okay. I think I'm okay with that. I think that's a good way to prevent cross-contamination. I'm not as sure about the time temperature control, but that would help prevent the TCS foods from crossing over with the cold foods. So that seems like a good fit. Have all ingredients easily accessible on the prep table. Well, no, that doesn't help with time temperature or cross-contamination. It's convenient, sure, but no, it doesn't help with this issue really. If I look just to check on B and C really quick, I will go ahead and say that I think C is the best answer because B I'm just not as sure about, and I just don't think it's a good fit. So C would again be our best answer in that fit. Okay, a little reminder here, folks. Cross-contamination is like when, our raw foods plus our cooked foods. Like if you, chop up raw chicken and you use that to chop the lettuce for your salad, that is cross-contamination, right? Not good. Then we have cross-contact. How is that different? You need to know this. I was taught this really early on. Cross-contact is when this is allergens. Okay, drill that into your head. So this is the raw foods for contamination. Cross-contact is allergens. So if someone has a peanut allergy and they get a peanut butter sandwich instead of a soy butter sandwich of some kind. All right, 2 more here. Stick with me. Which term refers to the obligation to either perform an assigned task or see that someone else performs it?
Hey, my name is Morgan Jarvie. And I chose the past class study material because of the high success rate of so many current dietitians. They also provided a study plan that personalized to your schedule. And this is the first time that I felt like I enjoyed studying because I felt accomplished, I felt confident, and Susie's words in her videos that she used were so inspirational, and her PowerPoints were very useful with all the fun mnemonics and all of the keywords that she would highlight on the PowerPoints. I found very useful and actually pertain to the questions on the exam. And I am so excited to be a current registered dietitian.
Go ahead and take 30 seconds. If you want to skip ahead to the next 30 seconds, feel free, and we can address it together. Okay, let's get ready to go through this. So we're thinking that refers to the obligation to either perform an assigned task or see that someone performs it. Let's go through each. Accountability. Okay, well, I'm going to hold on to that just for a second, because I don't think it's terrible. If I'm trying to be accountable to someone, I'm trying to make sure that they get it done. So I can be accountable to, my boss. I'm accountable to my boss, to my business, stuff like that. B, authority. Now, this is not talking about authority stuff. Authority would be saying something against someone at the top, speaking down to someone at the bottom. That is authority. Telling someone what to do is authority. C, capability. Capability is just my ability to be, it sounds silly, but to be capable of doing it. To be able to do something well is capability. This is not what this is talking about. This is talking about our ability or obligation to either perform the task or see that someone gets done. And D, responsibility. Okay, I like D as my best answer here because I like to think of this in a few different contexts. We have an obligation to either perform an assigned task or see that someone performs it. So this can be used in many different examples. It could just be your job. Maybe your job is to chop salads all day. It's your responsibility to chop those salads, or if you can't get it done, make sure someone else gets it done for you, kind of that same way. It's kind of like if you walk up on a burning fire in a building, it's probably your responsibility to either grab the fire hydrant yourself or to call someone to let them know. You can't just run out of the building. It's your responsibility to do that, right? That's what I think of as a good fit there. So those are just a couple, maybe even silly examples of that. Fifth and final, I hope you've gotten some good benefit out of these. Let's go through them. Which of the following flooring options is the best choice in regards to worker safety, durability, and microbial infection control? All right, let's go through these answers together now. Worker safety, durability, and microbial infection control. A couple things that I come down to for this. For worker safety, I'm thinking of things that if someone had to land on this stuff, fall, slip, or something like that, then I would need to have something that's going to kind of absorb that shock. For example, you ever slipped and fell on concrete? It hurts like hell. Okay, so that's why I really wouldn't want concrete there, mostly because if someone hits concrete, it just freaking hurts. So just to think of worker safety, let's think of just if they fall, maybe. Durability, I need to have something that isn't going to chip away a lot. So maybe no chipping. I don't want to be replacing this all the time. It's kind of why concrete would be a bad option because it chips away a lot, breaks down. Pieces are everywhere. It's not good to have. In microbial infection control, what we need to have is something that is probably going to be non-porous. Non-porous in the sense that we wouldn't want wood down there, right? Because wood absorbs lots of moisture, lots of microbial. We don't want a lot of porous things, maybe like concrete, because it really pulls in a lot of moisture. So that's kind of what we're thinking here. We have A, epoxy, which I'm a little questionable on. I think I'm just not sure about it quite yet. Epoxy flooring, I picture kind of a shiny, I don't know what I picture with epoxy flooring, kind of like epoxy adhesive type stuff. B, brick. I can tell you that as far as worker safety area and the porous part of it, brick's probably not going to be a good option. It's going to chip away. I live in a house that's built 1905, so I can tell you brick chips away a lot. It's not going to be a good option. C, tile. Tile is also not a good thing because it does chip away a lot. If you needed an area where you're going to be bringing in equipment, things are going to break that tile down, and you will see that. It's good if you want nice stuff around in your bathroom, but maybe not so good for this. Or D, vinyl. A couple things I know about vinyl is that I know that usually it's not going to chip. Okay, it's not going to chip at all. It's probably okay to fall on because it's not like it's concrete. It's not as soft. It's not as hard as that type of stuff is. And I know it's non-porous because it's not like it's real type of wood. It's kind of like a vinyl flooring. So if I'm stuck between epoxy and vinyl, what comes to mind with my epoxy is that I would actually think epoxy might be a little bit slippery if it was wet. And so I don't think that'd be a good fit. Making D my best answer. Excellent. Now, if you felt really frustrated on some of these, what my lesson is for you is keep in mind this question, when I did these before I prepared for this lesson, I got this one wrong. So everyone gets questions wrong. It's okay if you did. You might have gotten all 5 wrong, or you might have gotten all 5 right. But that's okay. So it does happen. You just got to pick yourself up and keep going forward. Hope you enjoyed this little study lesson together. Happy studying.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Dear Future Dietitian. I hope you got a lot out of it, and I also hope that you take action based on what you learned today. Now, if you have any questions at all, please reach out to us through our website, allaccessdietetics.com, or DM us on Instagram or TikTok. We are here to help you become a more confident registered dietitian to be and make this journey way less stressful for you. So reach out, don't be a stranger, and we hope to hear from you soon. Have a great day.